There, you're
Thank
good
you,
to go.
Miles. So actually, this is an area where I don't think I have done enough thinking. So I was hoping somebody else puts the 7 in. But what came to my mind when you said
Good awareness. Good awareness, by the way. Good awareness.
When we fast forward to the end of the session, what I would like to feel that I actually know how to make a decision in terms of my profile, because I think what is my dilemma with the profile, and I know the dot that, if you serve your dot and you kind of tune into your dot of customers you're really serving, it really helps building that connection and standing out. But I always fear that if I pick one, I'm missing out on others, and I kind of lose confidence of just picking one thing that I could be focusing on, and keep changing my mind of what it should be. And I was like, okay, I will probably just do a proper thinking, sit down and do it. But I was like, it's probably not going to happen. So, how do I make up my mind? One question. And the other one is, how do you work out or test your hypothesis that this is my right niche? So before you kind of totally just decide, can you do some little tests and runs to
do you want some veggie sausages? I'm going to put some in the air fryer.
If it's in the right order.
Others online, if you could just hit mute, that'd be great. Thank you. So I feel like there's two elements to what you've just said there, Julia, from what I've heard. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think what you're saying is, how do you know, how do you kind of get rid of that feeling of, if I focus on one, I'm going to cut people out? And then how do you choose the right niche? Is that kind of in a roundabout way?
Exactly. And how can you build a confidence that you have picked the right one? So you kind of, how do you validate your assumption that you picked the right one before you build all your, your website, your email address and everything on one niche? How can you kind of do some quick tests to validate your assumption?
Brilliant, good. So here's what I've learned about niching. I've learned that my biggest mistake with niching, and this is the biggest mistake that most coaches make around this area. If you fail to overcome this, I hate to paint a sad picture, it will be very difficult to be successful. If you can get your head around this, I believe that you're guaranteed to be successful. So what I'm about to say is incredibly basic and simple, so much so that there will be a part of your brain, not just you, Julia, but everybody, if you're struggling with this, there'll be a part of your brain that wants to say, surely it must be more difficult than this. So what I'm about to say is brutal, honest feedback that I was given. It was brutal, honest feedback that I was given. And you may want to argue, there might be a part of your brain that wants to argue what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say isn't based on what Miles says. It's actually based on the laws of marketing, not coaching, but the laws of marketing in the world. So think about, why do people buy this? Why don't people buy that? So what I'm about to share with you isn't up for debate. It's not up for debate. It's the laws of marketing, what I'm about to say, okay? So the first thing I'm about to say is this idea of, if I target one, I'll miss out others, right? So here's the problem with that. If you don't narrow to an audience, then you're a jack of all trades, meaning, although this is going to sound a bit flippant, if McDonald's start selling trainers, they've all of a sudden gone, oh, well, we want to sell trainers because we want to target everybody. And you all intellectually hear that and go, well, that's fucking stupid. McDonald's won't do that. So McDonald's niche audience is a fast food audience. So the first misconception that you may have, Julia, is that you're targeting, oh, well, if I go for one person, it's not one person that McDonald's are aiming at. They're aiming at millions of the same type of person. So niching doesn't mean that you're then going, oh, there's going to be less people. No, there isn't. Because if you target the right niche, there should be still hundreds and thousands of people. It's just that there's not millions of people, and you don't need millions of people to be successful as a coach. Okay. So that's the first misconception about niching is you, and I say you, I don't mean you, Julia. I mean you as in I've learned this from experience, overthink it. You don't, it's not like one or the other, it's a pool of people or another pool of people. So it's not, oh, if I just target women in their 40s, I'll miss so many other people. There's fucking thousands of women in their 40s, right? You know, do you get my point? Oh, if I target just female CEOs in their 40s, there's thousands of them, right? Or even if there's, oh, I've only found hundreds. Well, how many do you really need to have a thriving, successful coaching? Not many. So this is a misconception that you need the whole world to know. Tony Robbins, which you know, Julia, his initial niche was smoking, stop people smoking. So he started narrow to narrow and then he went wide. Okay. So Tony Robbins has maybe unintentionally created an illusion. Well, Tony's got, yeah, but he didn't in 1978 or whenever he started. He would have had a seminar with 6 people in it, in the Jury's Inn in Los Angeles. Like 6 people would have been in it. Hey, it's Tony Robbins. Like, who wants to stop smoking? Like, that would have been the Tony Robbins. That would have been the beginning of the journey, or something like that. He's told that story, I'm sure. I butchered it, but so that's the first thing you've got to get out of the way. Is whoever you target, there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of people that you can target, and you don't need that many to have a really successful coaching business. That's the first thing. The second thing, and I noticed Julie kind of said it, oh, I don't know, I can't decide the niche. Here's the second issue that I have, or that people have, and that I had, is you don't pick a niche based on passion, what's meaningful to you. Like, unfortunately, that's not how it works. Again, a niche is a marketing tactic to get attention. Your niche has to be something that there's actually a want and a desire and a demand in the world for. And the problem with coaching is most people don't actually want life coaching. They don't. So you have to make your solution solve a problem that's not really coaching. It's something that they go, oh yeah, I need to solve that problem. Well, here's a way to do it. So for example, if I said, so when we promote our coaching training, one of the key things that I say at the beginning of our one-day training is, perhaps right now you're working in a job, you want to sack the boss, you're working too many hours, blah, blah, blah. What you really want is a lifestyle where you can work what you want, when you want, where you want, with whoever you want, helping, making a difference, have a better lifestyle. So that's what people really want. They don't really at the core want to be a coach. They do, those people, I know people like you that come on the training want to make a difference and want to help people, and there's often they're in a job that they're not getting that. But ultimately, they're not really, I'm not solving the problem of becoming a coach. I'm initially solving the problem of you work too many hours, you hate your job, you want to sack the boss, and you want to have a better lifestyle where you have more autonomy over your time and make the same, if not more money than you make it currently. Yes or no? How I go about that is up for debate. After that, I could be teaching Forex, property, public speaking. It doesn't matter what comes after that. If I've shown people that, hey, if you stick around, I'm going to teach you how to do that. They're like, oh, cool. Don't really care how it is, what it is. If you're going to get me out of my job and get me earning a good income where I can replace my job and have a better lifestyle, work when I want with whoever I want, whatever it is you're selling, sounds good to me. So in terms of validating your niche, Julia, the simple answer is find a niche that's already out there and just model it. Find someone that's already out there that's a coach that's got a similar or the same audience that you know, yeah, I could coach that audience, and just model them. So when I created our training, I modeled Brendan Burchard because I looked at life coach training, and most of the trainings out there were like what I went through. I've got this massive training manual. It was like basically like NLP. I haven't got a problem with NLP, but I've got a problem with the way NLP is taught. For me, it's too long. it's too theoretical, and it doesn't give anybody a practical roadmap of how to actually facilitate it. Tony Robbins came along and went, I can make that easier. And so he went, I'm going to call it neuroassociative conditioning. And all the NLPers were like, you can't do that. And he went, fucking stop me. And that's what he did. Tony Robbins went along and ripped up the rule book and created NAC, which is NLP, but with his branding on it. He went, I can do that, but better. Because he was teaching NLP and he went, it's too long. 7-day practitioner. People don't want that. No, I don't need that bit, don't need that bit, don't need that bit, don't need that bit, don't need that bit. Unleash the power within. Oh, they want to go deeper? Okay, don't need that bit, don't need that bit, put that bit in, put that bit in, date with destiny. There you go, off you go. Like in a roundabout. So this is what I mean by don't create a niche, copy someone else. So I went, oh, Brendan Burchard, he does coaching the way I like it. He's got frameworks and sheets, and you just basically get the coach to just read out the page and all that. I was like, oh, but that's not authentic, is it? And then he challenged that, and I went through his process, and I was like, that's good. So I went, okay, so if I'm going to model Brendan Burchard, I can't copy his frameworks. Okay, I've got to come up with my own frameworks. Okay, what's 12 modeling, copying, whatever you want to call it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Copy, model what's already out there. So my best advice is research coaches and go and look and find, whether it's like, what I would do is I would look at podcasts, YouTube channels, and you can tell who's doing well by how many views they've got, how many views, how many subscribers, just what they're doing. If they got a book, and what are they doing out there? Are they using paid ads? If they're using paid ads, they're probably doing pretty well. They'd have to be doing paid ads. And just model them. Just look at, oh, okay, so they're doing a podcast and they're talking about this. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to talk about that. Or their videos, they talk about that. I'm going to talk about that in my words. The best advice I have for niching is model what's already out there. Cheat and copy. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just do what's already out there rather than trying to figure it out. But just to add in the last bit, it needs to be something that you do have some experience and credibility in. So, for example, when I started Miles More Members, I copied a person that I saw that was doing it wasn't Grant Cardone, but it was a guy in America that was doing car sales coaching. So like he was coaching car dealerships, and he had sales coaching, and he had all these programs and products, how to get customers, how to retain customers, how to answer the phone better, all this kind of stuff. And I went, I could do that for gyms. So when I say copy, I don't mean necessarily it's got to be the exact niche. It could just be someone in the world of coaching. Let's say you see a female coach and she's coaching a specific avatar. You could model the way that she coaches, but for a different psychographic. So you're like, oh, she's working with mums. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for dads. That's what I mean by copying or modeling. Or she's working with people on dating for, or he's working with people dating for men. Okay, then I could do dating for women. Or she's doing a specific mindset coaching for like women over 50 in careers that are transition. Like, okay, I could do that same thing for men, or I could do that same thing, but I know how I could make it different.
Thank you. Can I have one more question? I saw a couple of people.
You can.
Thank you. In another kind of forum, kind of asking people to coach, like always like looking for a coach with the niche, and kind of asking, if it's not my niche, then I'm not even getting coaching from that person, or I'm only opening coaching with this niche. And I was like, it doesn't really make much sense, because coaching is coaching, like niche is mainly about the marketing. Is it right saying that? So if like, because I think people do get if I find somebody who is not my niche, but I still like the person, I would get coaching. It's not like a restriction. Niching is really more getting attention. Is that right? It's more on the marketing side rather than what you do, because your coaching is still the coaching. You get people the results that they want to get.
Correct. So let me give you another way of looking at it. So niche is a strategy to get you to 5 to 10 grand a month. That's what a niche is for.
Mm-hmm.
To get you to like 6 figures, to get you above 10 grand a month, that's where you want to have things that are more authority positioning tools. So for example, having a book out, for example, publishing a book would be a 6-figure strategy. Although if you had a book at let's say you had a book out now, Julian, I'm not saying that you should do a book, because often it's slowing, it's a strategy that slows down from doing the obvious thing that could just be inviting people to a call. Like, you could make 5 grand in the next month, but instead you could be sat writing a book, which will pay off long term, but in the short term can compromise your ability to just earn cash today.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But a book or a podcast, that sort of thing, is a strategy that means that even if you didn't have a niche, although you'd need your podcast or your book to be something to relate to a topic for it to stand out, but if you didn't have a niche in that book would see you get attention, potential clients, because they perceive that you're an authority because you've got a book. Like a friend of mine, Will, has just released his book, and his book is not very niche. It's very wide personal development. So people aren't going to go looking for that book. He's going to need to put that book in the hands of his clients for him to get potential clients. If you have a narrow niched book, for example, my book, Coach Your Butt Off, is designed for people that are thinking about becoming a coach to be able to read my book. It helped them to maybe build some trust and some credibility in me, so that if they come on our one-day event, they already know me. So you all came on our one-day event and you didn't know me. So if people come on our one-day event and they already know me, it makes it easier for people to buy. But I'm only now writing a book after being in the industry for 10 years. Tony Robbins, most of the people that unleash the power within, because of the way he's positioned as an authority, would be raving fans the minute he jumps on stage. So that is definitely the goal long term, but it's really important that we don't get distracted from the short term here and now, which is just saying, I work with this specific type of person to solve this specific problem, is enough to, without any fancy marketing, to get you to 5 grand a month.
Thank you. Makes sense. Very helpful.
Good. So, how do I say this without it having negative? I'm going to say don't overcomplicate. My homework to you, Julia, is go and look at who is coaching in a way that you would like to coach. Don't be just thinking they've got to have the exact same niche as you, because the car dealership that I model for Miles More Members, that's not the same industry as me, but the way that he was putting his program together, I thought I could model that. So that means you could be looking at coaching in any space. Like you could even be looking at like consulting as well, because that really is just another word for coaching. Training, coaching, consulting, and just look at who's out there that's doing it kind of the way that you'd like to do it, and model them.
That's a very clever idea, because you are in a sort of way you're learning from other people's mistake, because you pick somebody who's already successful, so the formula already worked, so you can model it. And sometimes I tend to overcomplicate and want to want to come up with something really unique, but then it hasn't been tested yet, and probably it has, and it didn't work out. So I think it's very, very good to simplify it and go with something that works. Thank you.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this last question. What do, and I'm being playful with what I'm about to say in a minute, but what do Burger King, Samsung, and Nissan all have in common?
Burger King, Nissan, as second to market in a way, copying.
They're all rip-offs. They're all rip-offs. They're all rip-offs of something else.
Yeah.
And they're doing pretty well.
They're doing.
So one thing that is key to get over is one thing that might be at play here for you, Julia, is if you think about the human need of significance, we all want that need, meaning we want to stand out and be known for something, and we want to stand out, and stand out means differentiation. So the minute you focus on the significant need as the primary driver, it makes it very difficult to come up with a niche that's just modeling somebody else, because you're like, hang on, if I just model them, how does that make me significant? Which is why significance can't drive the coaching business at the forefront, because Burger King, whether we call them copies or not, Burger King has probably created a lot of happy memories for kids. Samsung probably for going to Apple, but they still made a good amount of money, and they probably copied a bit too much. But Nissan, they've modeled Toyota, and you can see car designs all the time now that like, oh, that looks like a Porsche, or that looks like the back of a Vauxhall, that one, or like